back to 755 is real, and it is real with top 70. Top 70. Is that it? Top 70? I don't have the thing in front of me. Top 7. We're sponsored by Topps because Topps is the best baseball card company, and they've been doing this for like 70 years. And you should buy Topps baseball cards. They're really good. I'm with my co-host, Eric O'Flaherty, former Braves reliever. And Eric, I know you were excited about last night, right? Watching at home and watching the post-game interviews.
Oh man, this one got me. I got it right here. This laugh from Wash.
Don't tell anybody else, but you're the best interview on this team. Well, thank you so much.
Yes. Wash is the man.
Man, you can't be around. Every time you walk by Wash in the hallway, your day just gets better.
A national treasure, dude.
Oh man, that I don't think we talk about the coaching staff enough.
I don't think we talk about the Wash as a presidential candidate enough.
I back him on anything.
Now that it's clear for anybody with skeletons in their closet to be elected president, why not Wash, man? Can you imagine? Let's rally around Wash. And he's right at the age too. Now he's much younger than Biden. And he's
I'd follow Wash anywhere.
Wash or Sal Fasano for president.
Yeah, all those guys, man. I was watching all the coaches' interviews after the game when Snit said it's been a long year, or he said it's been a hard year. You could tell, how hard it was to hold it together and keep staying positive. And, you don't have to have been there and done it before, because Snit didn't play. He didn't play in the big leagues and do it all. There's a ton of value in that, but the number one thing Snit does is he never forgets how hard the game is.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the coaching staff, most of them played in the big leagues, so they all know. So these guys, even the young guys, they all get to go through this grind with guys that respect what they're doing and know how hard it is and never lose sight of that. You can't put a value on that.
I think Snit put himself and Alex put him in the perfect position to succeed as manager because of the qualities that you just said, and the fact that he doesn't have an ego, so he's willing to surround himself with all these former players, all these coaches who have either been managers or could be managers, and he's not worried about them taking his job, because if he was insecure, he would be worried about Walt Weiss, Ron Washington taking his job, or Sal Fasano, becoming a manager. I mean, and Snit doesn't worry about that. And he delegates to those guys, knowing that they've been to the big leagues and they can get through to players and command that respect. I would put the coaching staff up against any of the big leagues. I really have said that for the last few years. I think they have the best coaching staff in the big leagues.
Their vibe, it's as a coach, if you're hard on players and you didn't do it, you're out.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the big leagues, just make this adjustment like it's easy. Guys that haven't been there and been off and tried to make those adjustments and don't understand how hard the league is.
Yeah.
Players that are getting shit from a coach that hasn't done it, you're out. It's really hard to get through to players, but when you've done it, you could just say it with a different kind of authority and get that message across in a different way, having been there and done it and knowing what it takes. And they got a bunch of those guys.
Well, Snit was asked about how difficult the season's been, because he said this is the bigger title than any of them because of what they've gone through. Alex said the same thing, because Alex said, I never want to do this again, but it's so gratifying at the end, because he said, I never want to have to work so much during the season to make it happen, to help make it happen, but that it's so much more gratifying because they got here. But Snit was asked about how much he had to work and how much his coaches had to work, bringing in all these newcomers. They literally had 3 different outfields over the course of the year, because they had the group they started with. Then they had the group that was the journeyman for a while, plugging in, when there was mixing matches. And then they had the group when they traded for 4 new guys. And in the whole time you got EY working with those guys, the outfield instructor. You've got, Wash doing his thing with the infielders. You've got all the coaches who are all love to teach, and never has that been more important than this year, teaching all the stuff that the Braves use, the systems they use, the analytics they use, where they position guys. It's never been more important than to have a good coaching staff that can teach than it has been this year. And I didn't even mention Fasano. They used 8 catchers. I mean, Sal's got some really technical stuff that they do, including the one knee drills that, the one knee style that a lot of people haven't even used before they got here. And they they got by with plugging in catchers all season, young guys, 38-year-old guys, everything, until they got Darno back. And so, I mean, just up and down, they've really earned their money this year. And not to mention Snit. I mean, he said he wore out a mattress this year, tossing and turning. I mean, he said they handled it. The players handled it better than I did. You know?
Yeah.
You could see in some of the post-game interviews this year, Snit was really close to losing it for the first time that I've seen. I mean, he was frustrated. You could tell he couldn't find answers, you know? I mean, it was just
every single one of them had that sentiment, though. It's just like it was a hard, like they earned this one. You know, all the challenges they faced. And I mean, I felt that tone from everybody. And that's what's so special about it, is you don't just get to make a decision to be smoking a cigar on the field the way those guys were. You got to put the work in, day out, from day one of spring training to get to the point where they're at. It's a special feeling. You know, I wish everybody could feel that, because there's spraying that champagne and just getting to let your guard down for one night. You know, you got to work tomorrow, but you did it. You get to let your guard down for a night and just soak in, you know, an accomplishment on a major league field. It's just special.
And that's why I wrote, you know, they didn't act like a team that's won the previous three, or a team that got within one win of the World Series and try to play it down, go, this is just the first step, and be subdued and everything. They didn't do that, because they knew how hard this was to get here and how much they had to have go their way, including the rest of the division had to struggle as well. Because if any of those teams had played up to capabilities, if the Mets had lived up to their capabilities, the Phillies, Braves would have been 10 games back, 12 games back. And instead they were always 3 or 4 back, and they were able to make all these changes and stay in the race, knowing that eventually they should get on a run, which they did when they went 16-2, made the most of their opportunity against some bad teams, seized control of the division race, and have been tied for first a couple of games since then. But for the most part, they've been in first alone ever since. So kudos to them, because like Freddie said, if you'd have told him a couple of months ago when Ronnie Acuna went down, I mean, like Freddie said, he, in his mind, the best player in the game. When they lost the best player, I think, in the National League, when they lost the best player in the National League, I thought it was done. You know, they had other injuries. They had lost Darno. Soroka was real iffy. We didn't know when he was going to be back. And then he re-tears the thing, and then he's out for good. But it kept getting by. They lost to Zuna. But when they lost to Acuna, I thought, this is over, man.
And if you're off the hook too when you lose Acuna.
Yeah. And that's what Freddie said. They could have just said, you know,
well, next year
this happened. Yeah.
It's so easy to give that interview at the end of the season. You know, just all the buzz, a tough year. You know, we lost a lot of guys. I still believe in this team. We're going to come to spring training ready to go. You know, throw all that shit out there. But you know, you're off the hook when you lose a guy like that. And it takes strength to just say, we got to find a way anyway, and keep being positive, because they all know how much that hurt when they lost that guy. Yeah, they know how much harder it's going to be, and to keep fighting and keep finding a way to keep winning and keep the team together, keep the unit positive. I mean, that's for me why Snit gets so many kudos. I saw Kranitz interview after the game, was talking, you know, late innings, you know, things like that. He was shaking in his seat, you know, just pacing around the dugout, not sure what to do. And he looked at Snit, and Snit was sitting there calm, you know, not panicking. It was like he'd been through this stress a million times and knew how to handle it. And they all looked to him. All the coaches looked to him, and he kept it together. And that's why I say, you know, you just can't put a value on somebody holding it together and staying positive, because it'd be easy for Snit. And you know, he wanted to. Some of those interviews you're talking about, you're asking him questions, why he did this or why he did that, or what's wrong with this guy, and he's right here, you know, this close to losing his shit. Keeps it together, says the right stuff, comes to the field the next day. Maybe he's miserable, but for the better, you know, for the group, he shows up and puts on a front and puts on that smiley face and tells them we're going to win today, even if you don't believe it. Like, this is it's so important to put that message out there and be a positive vibe for your team. And it's not easy.
He does a great job of concealing how he's feeling within, because like when Cranny said, when he looks over and he's calm, inside Snit's guts are churning. He's not calm inside, but you never can tell outside. He's got that stoic look. And the same thing is, he never snaps in interviews. He never loses it. Came really close the other day when I asked him about Will Smith again.
Yeah, he did.
Came really close. He said God twice, and then he kind of that was the end of the interview, you know, but he did not snap. And a lot of managers would just lose it and start throwing shit. And I think that's been really key to him to him staying, in this job this long and having so much success over the course of 162 games, because the players do feed off that vibe, and they never felt that was hopeless. He never came in and lost it and turned the tables over and everything, and got angry at him for struggling. So, it was a hell of a way to finish. I mean, you sweep the Padres in San Diego, eliminate them from contention, because they were still hopeful when the Braves came. They still were not eliminated. And then the Phillies come to town playing their best ball, hoping to take at least 2 out of 3 from the Braves and hopefully sweep them. If they'd have swept them, they'd have left here a half game behind, and this thing's up for grabs. And the Braves will be playing Monday.
Suck today.
And the Braves have been playing the Rockies on Monday, and it could have been coming down to that. But instead, the Braves kept going after a really rough trip, a hard trip. They came home 10-game trip, 11 games really with the conclusion of that suspended game. Came home, had 1 day off after flying back from the West Coast, took on the Phillies and swept them after sweeping and eliminated the Phillies from contention. So they finishing strong. They're where they want to be, and especially considering they got a couple of guys that really aren't hitting much right now that you figure are going to get going again before the postseason starts. So it's not like they're just hitting on all cylinders, but they're playing good ball. And most importantly, Fried and Charlie are pitching at the peak of their powers right now. Those two guys have been doing it for a couple of 3 months. And now you got Ian Anderson, who's had back-to-back good starts. Yep. And that kind of changes everything going in the postseason. I think when you can look at a third guy that's good, Ian looks pretty close to his peak form again, I think. He's getting there.
Yeah,
he's really solid last night for 6.
Yeah, well, and that'll play. He's not getting the strikeouts he got last year, but I think it's his stuff is still funky enough, and his arm angle's still funky enough, and he's competitive enough. He's finding a way to miss barrels consistently. And, everybody loves when a starting pitcher goes out and strikes out 10, but you go 6, 7 scoreless or 1 or 2 runs, you don't care how many strikeouts you got. You did the job for the team. And I think, Charlie and Fried's start took a lot of pressure off him. Going out and doing it like that and just stepping on the Phillies' throats and putting them in a position where if they lose a game, it's over. Just a great series and a message, too, that they're just the better team.
Yeah. And Fried reducing the strikeouts has allowed him to get deeper in games.
Deeper in the game.
He's and same thing with Ian, when he piles up the strikeouts is when he gets to 95 pitches in 5 innings, he's getting deeper, pitching to contact. So, if you can keep it down in the zone, that you can do that.
Yep.
Guys aren't going to hit bombs off you, but I thought, Freddie said every hitter that came to first base is still saying to him, and Ian again now that, that changeup, I can't see it. And that curveball, I can't see it. And that heater is up in the zone. I can't catch up to it. So that's a good sign when they're saying that stuff again to Freddie at first base.
That's that deception. You see guys having good seasons throwing 93, 94, and there's guys getting torched throwing 99. His funkiness isn't going to slump. If he doesn't have his stuff that day, he's still funky. He's still hiding the ball. It's still different. That's why I always feel good about him when he starts. And I think that's why, when he has an okay start, he doesn't get torched.
Yeah.
It's maybe 5 innings, 3 runs, a couple walks, lots of pitches, but he can get through it because of his deception. And, for me, that's where scouting is really important and not just looking at the gun and spin rates and stuff, but you watch how the guy's presenting the ball. And for him, it's always different. It's always tough to hit.
I think with them, with Ian stepping up and with Max had the lowest ERA in the majors in the second half because Scherzer got blown up the other night. Scherzer was right there with him. Max is ahead of him now, clearly. 1.74 in the second half, dude. And since the start of August, he's been unbelievable. He's like 7-0 with like a 1.4 something ERA in 11 starts since the start of August. This guy's going right now, and he's going 7, 8, 9 innings.
And he loves the bright lights. He loves the big starts.
And that's huge when you've only got like 3, maybe 4 bullpen guys you can really trust in high leverage. That's enough when you got 2 of your starters going 7, 8, 9 innings. And in a postseason series, you're going 2 games with a day off. It's not like a regular season series.
No, and it's so much easier to manage your pen like that when you can just, if you get into the 7th inning and you got a matchup that works, you got to throw a guy that you're unsure of. Maybe he's been a little sloppy lately, but you can throw him and give him a good situation, boost his confidence, let him face a lefty that's not going to hit him.
Yeah.
He gets to come in and have a good outing and feel good about it and get out of the game and feel good the next time you bring him in a situation that maybe you're not as comfortable with. You build his confidence. That's all about your starters going deep. If your starters can go in the 7th, they're going to present a layup for your bullpen. If your starters are going 5 innings, 4 innings, you got to just start, hoping for the best and plugging guys in spots that aren't the best matchups. But it gives Snit way more freedom to give guys, put guys in a position to succeed when the starters go deep.
And Milwaukee lost Trevor Williams to the same thing that the Braves lost, earlier this year, punching a wall. And
Devin Williams.
Devin Williams. I'm sorry. Devin Williams, the rookie of the year a year ago with that incredible season. And he was pretty close to that this year. He was pretty damn good this year. I think losing Devin Williams is as big or bigger than the Braves if they lost Luke Jackson or Tyler Matzik. I mean, they're number 2 behind Hader. I mean, those two are the bullpen for those guys.
Yeah.
Hader's going to have to go more innings, or they're going to have to thrust somebody into that role that's just not nearly Devin Williams.
The thing that sucks is Hader can go too. If Hader was strictly a 1-inning guy, it hurt even more. But still, you can't bring Williams in the 7th and bridge to the 9th. It moves everybody up a spot. If your starter doesn't go deep, you got to bring somebody you're unsure of in the 5th, 6th inning instead of just riding with your 2 horses and stretching them out. So
that series,
huge loss.
And that series of a couple of months ago, the Braves had success against their 2 all-star starters too. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be intimidated by those guys. They know they can hit them. They know they can give them runs against them.
Milwaukee's got home field, right?
Yeah, it starts Friday in Milwaukee. Friday, Saturday there, then they come back. Off day Sunday, and then you play here Monday, Tuesday. So, I think the Braves got to be feeling good about where they're at. I mean, to get through this grind and be playing their best ball now, and having gone out and swept, the win was huge at San Francisco on Sunday.
Yeah,
last Sunday that was huge. And then you go to Arizona 2 Sundays ago, and then you go to Arizona and win 3 out of 4 there. You blew the 1 game, but you won 3 out of 4. And then you go to San Diego, and after Will blew it was a tie game in the game that they finished
bottom
9th in the game that was tied, in the game that they had tied up. That was the conclusion of the suspended game. But then you recover from that, and you win the game right after that night, and you sweep them. That was huge. And how they won Saturday and Sunday. When Machado hits the grand slam, they get up 7-3 on Saturday. Freed pitches ass off on Friday. And then they come back from 3 deficits to win Saturday in 10 innings. And then Sunday, when you win that game where Will Smith loads the bases and strike. I mean, these were big, emotional, dramatic wins to propel them into this week against the Phillies. So you come home, they had a day just to get their bearings, get their legs back under them after being on the West Coast time zone for 11 days. And then you bury the Phillies' hopes. So they got to feel great about where they're going. I mean, I'm sure they'll roll out some subs tonight. Some guys are hung over. And then I think they'll get right back to it tomorrow and finish strong Saturday, Sunday before they shut it down. But now they don't have to play that game against that Monday or even think about it. They don't have to, they can catch their breath. They got 5 days to get ready for the Brewers, and they got to like their chances, man. They're going in healthy, And when we said that, somebody mentioned that on Twitter, and I agreed with them, and everybody jumps on my throat. I'm like, yeah, well, except not having Acuna and Soroka. Well, you never had Soroka this year, so that doesn't count. I mean, they never had Soroka. Yeah. And Acuna, that's huge. You lost the best player in the league, but they did that more than 2 months ago. This is I'm talking about the guys on the team right now being hurt. It'd be like if Freddie was hurt. He got hit in the elbow last night. You were worried, but think he's okay. Freddie said, yeah, it just stung. It wasn't a funny bone. He said he got hit hard. It was, a heater. For a minute there, they were worried. But the other guys, in every year, it seems like somebody's been hurt. You missed Dansby 1 year. You had the wrist. You couldn't play. Acuna played with a hamstring 1 year in the postseason. Riley had the knee his rookie year, left off the postseason roster. Inciarte missed the postseason with the back. You've had somebody every year. This year, with the group that you're taking in there, is all healthy. So,
yeah, that's big. And I think it's also good too that they're playing these games right now. Like we talked about last time.
Right.
If they clinched a week ago, this is such a good prep for the postseason. Playing that series in San Diego, coming home and having a chance to close out the Phillies.
Yeah,
it's good to roll in playing big games versus having all that time off.
And now you got the Marlins. I think I said the Mets. The Phillies have the Mets. Braves have the Marlins, right?
Vice versa. Braves got the Mets.
Oh, I had it right. I was right. Gabe was wrong last night because I kept saying Mets, and then he said something about the Marlins are coming in. I thought it was the Mets. I had it right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's funny, because you could have argued that even if the Phillies had won last night, you'd have been able to clinch on Friday night in front of a huge crowd. But they're so glad they did it against a Phillies team that was still in contention, and the Mets are just limping to the finish line. And the crowd ends up being last night after being kind of down in the game before. Last night, Thursday night, they had 39,000 there, and it was loud. I told you this off camera, and we'll mention it now. I have a new perspective because the last time that I was on the field at a major event while it was still going on in front of a packed house was covering the NFL like 25 years ago. They take us down on the field for the last 2 minutes of the game back then. Now they keep them in the tunnel, the writers, but they took us on the field. We could stand like right behind the team, anywhere you felt safe. So it's like, for instance, when Shula became the all-time NFL winningest coach, I was like 10 yards behiin him. The Dolphins put him on their shoulders and all that in Philadelphia. And but the NFL is a little different because the stadiums are huge, but the crowds are kind of set back. And in the last 2 minutes, if the game's not coming right down to it, the crowds are thinning out and everything. Last night, for the first time, we go down on the field because during the pandemic, we haven't been in the clubhouses. We've been doing Zooms up in the press boxes. So we haven't been in the clubhouses. And when you go to the clubhouse, you don't go on the field to get the clubhouse. You go to the tunnel. So we never go on the field. Last night, we did the post-game interviews on the field. So we go down on the field immediately when the game's over. Well, nobody's left yet.
Yeah.
And because the team came out to celebrate, the place is going crazy. They're roaring, they're chanting, they're Freddie, and doing the MVP and all this. And so we go on the field to walk across over to the Braves dugout. 39,000 people are roaring, and I'm going, holy shit. It is so loud here. And the way baseball stadiums are built now, stacked up, it's so much louder than, say, football stadiums that go out.
Yep.
I was like, I told a couple of guys, I go, just imagine being a pitcher or a hitter, and you're in the ninth inning. And this place, they were doing the tomahawk chop last night when Will Smith started the ninth inning. They're doing, and he's pitching. Can you even imagine how loud it is? And you trying to throw a strike, hit a pinpoint location, or you're trying to hit. You have so much more respect for what you guys do when you're down there in that den, how loud it is. And I would just love to take one of the people down there who argue that there's nothing to clutch hitting or clutch performances or Michael Jordan hitting the shot with the time expiring. And because those people are so full of shit, if they think that it's the same pitching in that environment as it is pitching in an empty stadium or with the game not on the line, that's just crazy because it is deafening down there, man.
That's the whole separator. I mean, that's why for me, I don't get too excited about AAA numbers. I always want to know what they do. It's great. He's hitting 342 in AAA. Cool.
Right.
Let's see how he does under the bright lights. And that's what changes. Can you be the same guy with all that going on? Can you black it out, focus, and still be the same? It would happen to me. I'd be jogging onto the field, and I start looking around like, what am I doing out? I would have to check out. I'd have to get out of that space mentally in a hurry. Because I'd start, my heart would start racing. You look at the scoreboard, see your face on the Jumbotron, you're jogging out, there's 50,000 people screaming, and you have to find a way to be the same, remain calm. And when you get nervous and jittery or tight, I mean, you just move different. And guys that can't control that, they come up and they fail every time. And that's why I said when you watch a game on TV and you see that guy with the deer in the headlights look, it's over. You know, unless the offense lets them off the hook, it's over. And you could see it in guys when they're feeling that pressure. That's why I'm with you. Like, you don't think clutch stats matter, you're crazy, because
it's insane.
Everything amplifies, and it's so hard to control your emotions, channel all that energy. Once you've been in the big leagues for 3-4 years, it's the same game. It's easy to just focus on what you're doing. But even, the first game of spring training, you can have done, season after season after season. The first game of spring training, when you get out there and there's 10,000 people yelling,
right?
It's like, you know, it takes a second to lock in and channel that energy and focus. And, you know, for me, that is the main separators. Can you keep it loose and be yourself on that stage?
And that's why I think baseball too is so different than football. There's no equivalent to that in football. No. Football, you're on the field, you're one of 11 guys, you're in a uniform, you got a helmet on. The plays are fast, and it's like you don't have that pause between pitches. You're not as conscious of the crowd. You've played in front of big crowds in college and all that anyway, you know, some bigger crowds than you have in the NFL, most of these guys that played at big schools. And it's not the equivalent. Even for a quarterback, you're still so focused on everything that's going on in the line, and you got 10 teammates and you got plays going through your head. And I don't think you're as conscious of, and you got a guy in your ear telling you what to look at, what the play is. You're not as conscious, you can't be, as you are as a pitcher standing on the rubber, and 40,000 people are going, or they're just cheering, or you're on the enemy territory and they're booing, or you're a hitter, you know, and you're trying. It's just no equivalent.
You're getting crowd feedback on something you just did.
Right.
You know, it's, if you throw a ball, it's an immediate 50,000 people reacting the same way to it, and it's immediate feedback. So you throw ball one in Philly, 50,000 there. They go ape shit, you know, and so that just reinforces, damn, I just threw a ball, you know, and then you throw strike one, they kind of get quiet. But each pitch, you get this loud feedback of what you just did. You know, you pick over to first and 50,000 people boo. You know, I mean, it's just you alone out there, and each thing you do gets a reaction. You know, you really feel like all eyes are on you, but the good ones find a way to enjoy that pressure.
And the only thing I could equate it to in major sports would be basketball at a free throw line it's like in a playoff game, especially when the NBA arena, when it's so loud, because that's the only places that get louder than like a baseball stadium, outdoor stadiums, you know, is in like you're playing at Allen Fieldhouse where it's 150 decibels, you know, and that would be deafening. But again, unless you're,
you know, can you move the same under that pressure?
Right. And, but unless you're at a free throw line where everything stopped and they get quiet and then they roar and everything, I don't think it's the same as like a pitcher. Every pitch, everybody's on the, you know, I mean, I think that's the separator. Yeah. Guys that can hit free throws with all that pressure, I think that's similar. But other than that, I don't think there's equivalent in like football. Maybe for a kicker, I could hear it. You know, maybe for a kicker, that's about it. But anyway, and golf, there's tremendous pressure. But they get quiet before you shoot.
Dude, that bothers me so much when I play golf and somebody makes a noise and somebody's backswing, and they're pissed. You broke my focus.
Right. They get quiet.
How are you gonna complain about that, man? I used to warm up. I had people talking about my mom every warm up throw. You know, it's like, it's just such a different. That one bothers me in golf. But in golf too, you know, you have a buddy that he's great at golf. You know, he shoots 72, and then you get in front of the tee box that's in front of the restaurant. First shank of the day, because people are watching. You know, the pressure of people watching just changes.
Yeah. And we talked about this too. How little did those guys know last year, because we were asking them about, they kind of get cheated. Like an Ian Anderson comes in, he gets cheated and he doesn't get to make his debut in front of a big crowd and his family. No, they're going to look back on it. They had the unique advantage that other people have never had. And they had this transition to the big leagues where they never went through the terror you're talking about, coming up from AAA and playing in front of 34,000 people. It was perfect for them. They go from playing in empty spring training stadiums a year ago in the pandemic to playing in empty stadiums. The only pressure is that you're in a big league ballpark. There's three decks, but they're empty. There's no noise except pumped in crowd noise, which you know is fake. Yeah. So you get to play a whole season in that. And then you're pitching in the playoffs, and not until the last round do they even have limited attendance. Yep. So it was like you got to transition. Then you go to this year spring training with limited attendance. So it's like they got eased into this thing. And then you have limited attendance at the start of this year in like almost every ballpark. And you even got transition there. So, man, those guys got it. They're going to look back on that and go, I never had that experience you're talking about, it going from pitching at AAA in front of 2,000 people to pitching in front of 40.
I lost 5 miles an hour in my major league debut because I clammed up so much. I was throwing 93.
I believe it.
I was throwing 93, 94 in AA. Pitched a few games in AAA, came up to the big leagues, and I was so freaking nervous. I mean, it was like I'd never thrown a ball before in my life.
I believe it. I mean,
it's just different.
Yeah. It's got to be what it's like too, going from like, community theater to going to Broadway, and you're playing in those theaters that like stacked like 5 decks and you're looking out at the crowd. And I mean, who could do that? Memorize lines and all that. It's the same thing. Some people can do it, but most people can't. I mean, that's why those people that can get paid a whole hell of a lot of money.
Yep. It's like talking to girls too when you're in your early 20s. You got your buddy. He's the funniest
some
guy.
Some people can do it. Some people can't.
Yeah. He's the funniest guy, he's making the whole crowd laugh. And then a beautiful chick walks up to him and he just can't speak all of a sudden. I mean, it's
performance anxiety at every level.
Anywhere in life it can happen, but it's definitely, the hardest test for me is always pitching on that big stage, and something to be proud of, the guys that can handle it.
So I was just really thrilled last year to get a new experience, because you don't get many new experiences when you've been doing this a long time. And last night I was so glad we were on the field to do the post-game interviews. One, we avoided the champagne spray because I hate that shit, man. I hate getting wet and trying to go back up and right with that nasty smell on
Sticky.
you.
Yeah.
And then I was on my motorcycle. I didn't want to ride home with a wet shirt or whatever. So the guys were cool, and they did all the squirting the champagne and the beer in there, and they came out and they just had their cigars and everything. And then of course the relief pitchers go out and go in the fountain, because relief pitchers are relief pitchers.
I saw that floor in that fountain looked a little slick. I saw a couple of them fall down. I was like, we don't need one of those right now.
AJ had the cowboy hat on with the goggles. They all had the good cigars. And the cigars smelled great, by the way. They weren't smoking Havatampas, they were smoking the good shit.
Yeah.
So, but it was a great experience to be down there, and so appreciate what they do when you hear that crowd, because that crowd, and kudos to the Braves crowd, because it was awesome last night. It was such a home field advantage. They're doing the tomahawk chop and pitching changes when the Phillies come out with the lights down and the lighters. They're doing it, and it was just during the playoffs. It's going to be something, man, because that was a Thursday night with school in session. People that don't live in Atlanta don't know. The crowds in Atlanta are usually not good during the week when school's in session. And that was packed. It was pretty close to packed last night, 39,000. So Braves have a 6-game winning streak. And the thing that stands out about this streak is the outfield newcomers have had huge contributions in every game during this streak.
Yep.
Friday at San Diego, the 4-0 win, Fried's 3-hit complete game. Duvall had an RBI. Rosario had a hit, a run, and a stolen base. Saturday's 10-8 win against the Padres. Soler had the game-changing 3-run homer in the 6th inning, game-winning RBI in a 10th inning double. Peterson had a pinch hit RBI double that started the scoring in the 4-run 6th inning in that game that erased the 7-3 deficit after Machado's grand slam. The Sunday, the 4-3 win at San Diego. Peterson's 2nd inning home run started the scoring. And Orlando Arcia, another one of the newcomers, although they got him early in the year, obviously, but he had a pinch hit double for the game-winning RBI. Tuesday's 2-1 win against the Phillies. Soler drove in both Braves runs with a 3rd inning single. Wednesday's 7-2 win in another Fried gym. Soler had 2 hits, 2 runs, and 2 walks from the leadoff spot. And then last night, the clinching win, Soler leads off the 1st inning with a monster 465-foot homer. I mean, every game those guys have been huge. So you lost Acuna, you lost the best player in the National League, but the Braves would not have gone out and got all these guys if you had not lost Acuna. So they would have gone out and got one. Maybe they get Duvall at the trade deadline to play left field because they had lost Ozuna earlier, or maybe they just get Peterson coming out of the break to play one of the outfield spots and they shuffle it around, but they would not have gotten 4 guys. They wouldn't have gotten more than 1 probably. So, and if the crowds don't come out and fill the place early on when the Braves are leading the league in attendance, McGurk doesn't go to Alex Anthopoulos and say, we've got more money. Go out and make the moves you want to make. Alex said it last night. He came to him and said, things have changed since the start of the year. We got some money now. Go out and do what you need to do. So Alex goes out and makes those moves and adds a considerable amount to the payroll. So a lot of things went their way, but those newcomers have made a huge difference. And I dare say they are not where they are without those guys. No way.
Oh, no shot.
No way. Even as great and you've had to have, when you lose guys early to injuries like Darno and Ozuna, he gets arrested after he gets hurt, you got to have some guys step up and have career years. Austin Riley. That's why he's an MVP candidate. He's had a career year that he's taken right through to the end. Had another huge home run last night. Gives him 33.
I think about that with the MVP too. Looking at the series, that Austin's hit all year. I mean, he
Harper shrunk and Riley stood and stepped forward.
I think, I think that's got to matter. If you have a vote, you got to look at that series was, or you can
Make
go
or break.
head to head all year, but the Braves handled Harper. I think he was 0 for 11 with 5 Ks.
Yeah.
And that's baseball. I'm not, it doesn't mean he clammed up, but
right.
I mean, if you're going to win MVP and you play in those series, I need you to, if you want to be convincing with it, you need to do some damage, and that's their guy. I mean, he has to impact that series, and he didn't.
Yeah, Chipper won the MVP in '99 based basically on what he did against the Mets when they were going head toe to toe just like this with the Phillies. Every series against the Mets, he had the big home runs, home run after home run in big moments. That's when he won the MVP after not even making the All-Star team that year. I mean, guys that do it, and Harper's had a great second half. But this was it. This was it. They had to come in and win at least 2 out of 3, and he did nothing to help them win. I mean, yeah, they were focused on getting him out, but like you said, I mean, Riley stepped up, had some huge hits.
Well, and how much does the whole series change if Harper knocks in 4 runs game 1?
Oh, absolutely.
Then, I mean, that's just the way I look at it, is if the impact he could have on the series if he wants to win MVP, or people want to say he's the MVP, I know it's great when you look at the WAR and all this stuff that and analyzes a guy's value and says, actually, he was 2 wins better than this guy or that guy.
Yeah.
But when I look at that series, if he has a great game 1 and does something and gets the Braves, clinching up, and it's all that pressure we're talking about, puts the pressure back on the Braves, and now you got a 1-game lead or 1.5, whatever it would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, it can put pressure on the pitching staff, the bullpen, the other team's lineup, but doing nothing game 1, they win that one. It's like every win after that's just more breathing room and takes pressure off the team.
Soler last night, man,
that was a bomb.
This dude, he's got 54 games with the Braves. He's hit .268 with 13 homers and an .868 OPS. This is after 94 games with the Royals. He hit .192 with 12 homers and a .658 OPS. Now, he had gotten hot in the week before, but credit to the Braves, to Alex, and to the scouts, the guys they had looking, because they saw a swing coming around, and they made a move for this guy, because at the time, we're all like, why are you getting Soler? Yeah, he had 46 homers a couple of years ago, but this guy hadn't done shit since then. They got this guy, and he's been huge. So good that this is a guy I think they should try to re-sign for next year, man. This guy could be a big part next year. And if they have the DH, he'd be a perfect DH.
Oh, yeah. And just the bats he has. Yeah, that's what I keep going back to.
The walks.
But, I mean, if you told me you'd have Soler hitting leadoff in September, batting, what's he batting? 222? You'd think something went,
268 with the Braves, though, and like a 350 something OBP.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just, you would know
right.
They dealt with some shit this year to be in a position to be batting him leadoff, but it's worked really well. And I think it's back to that bats he has, that's a scary dude to face leading off the game. And then yesterday, hitting that bomb to lead off the game just sends a message like, you guys can go ahead and pack your bags.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. And not to mention what it did for Ian Anderson,
Yep.
But yeah, and again, Snit having the balls to put Soler at leadoff and not have people mock it and go, what? What are you doing?
He doesn't care. He doesn't get affected by any outside.
And when
balls.
Everybody was howling because Jock Peterson is a fan favorite for obvious reasons. Great guy, colorful personality, all that, the pearl necklace, the blonde hair, and a great dude. I like him a lot. He's done tremendous stuff for the clubhouse too, more than people even know. But everybody's howling. Jock Peterson needs to play more because every time Snit put him in there in a good matchup, he does something. But Snit keeps playing Rosario because the guy's hot and the guy's playing great. And he doesn't cave to that pressure and play the guy that everybody's howling to have in there. He keeps going with what he knows, what his coaches are telling him, what his analytics people are telling him, this is what we need to do. And it's worked. I mean, he's put guys in good situations. And when he's played Peterson, it's been a good matchup for him. And the guys had good games.
Yeah.
So they've really utilized the personnel, I think, really well. I mean, from going at the start of the year with Acuna in the leadoff spot, again, when he was hitting 24 bombs early on, he was MVP candidate. People are howling for him. Okay, it's time to move Acuna out of the leadoff spot. So it's like, nope, did that last year. Don't care what he's doing. Don't care if he's got twice as many home runs as anybody else on the team. We're keeping him in leadoff because it works. Never mind what the analytics say. It works for this team. So he combines that going with your gut and going with analytics when it's appropriate.
Yep.
Positioning guys and, just I just like the mix they do of that, old school and new school. They're not dinosaurs. The game hasn't passed them by, but they still allow for some moves and all that based on what they're watching and based on what the gut is against
That's
what
the boat
works
I'm
for this
in.
team.
That's the boat I'm in when I look at baseball. I mean, you can't deny there's value in analytics. You
Absolutely.
can't deny it. But you also can't deny there's value in the conversation we had about guys that can keep it together under pressure.
That doesn't show up in analytics.
It doesn't show up. There's no way to measure a lot of things. There's no way to measure what effect a catcher has on a pitching staff. So they're lucky because if you can find coaches like that know all those values you can't measure, and they don't get mad or threatened by analytics, they embrace it and find a way to use that too. Open-minded coaches, it's just the perfect blend.
Yeah. And they've got that with Wash, with EY. They're using all the analytics to position guys. I mean, Dansby, he's always up the middle when somebody hits a liner up there. I mean, they do a good job with that stuff. But at the same time, those are old school guys, just like Seitz is an old school guy, but he embraces all the analytics. So I got to say, man, I wrote about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, that I thought Snit should change closers. I thought he'd gone far enough. I thought there was danger of all the good that Snit's done with this team going down the tubes because he stuck too long with Will Smith. But I tell you what, man, Will Smith showed me something in San Diego with that getting out of that jam. He showed me some huge balls, and he did it again last night, because if this guy doesn't have, stones down there, he comes into that situation last night knowing everybody's waiting for him to fail. Knowing the Phillies, this crowd's going crazy. It's a close game. And, everybody's like, oh, yeah, best 2-run closer. Well, he came in last night, didn't give up a run, didn't give up anything.
Yeah.
Gets a strikeout, pop up, I think it was. And then a strikeout to end it in the biggest game of the year for the Braves. And Snit says that's why he's the closer. And we kind of roll our eyes and go, come on, Snit, you can't just ignore all the bad games he's had too. But when it comes right down to it, when he has to do it, the guy has got some guts, man. So we'll see. We'll see if he can do it in the playoff games. But he showed last night. I mean, that's as close as you're going to get to a game 7 right there, in a playoff game. It was loud, and the game was on the line. And just like in San Diego, it was loud there.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
that was their season. Their season was on the line. Yeah.
And they had 3 guys on base with 1 out. And all they needed was to put the ball in play, basically, and he didn't let them. So good for Will Smith, man. He's shut up a lot of people with he's got 36, 37 saves. He's got like 6 blown saves. Same number of blown saves as Melanson. I know Melanson's got a lot lower ERA, but it's not like Melanson has a lot of clean innings either,
No.
Will, it's like Dansby said last night. He's told Will, you're our guy, man. You've been our guy since day one, and that's not going to change. Don't worry about what everybody's saying. They complain about everything. You're our guy. And he said, and Dansby said, hey, there might be some drama sometimes, but the job usually gets done, and that's what it's all about.
And that's just, I keep going back to it, but it's so freaking important to have teammates and that have that vibe and that chemistry and guys that believe in you. Because if he comes in and blows that first one in San Diego and his teammates don't sit at him with the table after after the game, they don't eat with him.
Yeah.
You need people on your side. You need help to get through a season, and you have your doubts. And when a teammate comes up and tells you got this, you're getting them tomorrow, your manager throws you back out there, it's just such an assist to have confidence like that. But I think about it too. Like if he blows that game in San Diego, he doesn't get out of it. What do you do? What happens?
Right.
And what's the difference in this series with Philly? It all has kind of a butterfly effect, but Snit's sticking with him and he's getting rewarded for it.
Yeah. They Monday, the Braves, the day Charlie goes out and pitches another gem that Charlie just continues. He'll be 38 in November, and he's just been remarkable. And he had his 19th career double-digit strikeout game, second this season. 101 pitch outing against the Phillies, where he's just a force down the stretch, man.
His curveball.
He had a 4.50 ERA in his first 13 starts this year. His last 19 starts, he's had a 2.77 ERA, 138 strikeouts 38 walks in 117 innings.
When you watch him pitch, though, it's like he knows how to pitch, obviously, but he's still at a point, even in his late 30s, he's overwhelming hitters. He's overpowering them. I mean, he makes mistakes. He throws a curveball. I saw a curveball down to right down the middle to Odubel Herrera, and it was a foul ball in the dirt because it's so tight and sharp. And he's shaking his head, not knowing how he missed it. And he's doing that to hitter after hitter after hitter, and then he throws it where he wants to, and it's a swing and miss. What he did to Harper, it's like, that's a dude that we're talking about MVP, and he made him look like a rookie. He'd never seen pitches like that, and that's just how good Charlie's stuff is, and it's crazy he has that at his age.
So on the same day that near soon to be 38-year-old Charlie Morton was doing that, the Braves gave out their minor league organizational player of the year awards. Bryce Elder, who was the 5th round pick out of Texas, the pitcher, in 2 years ago, 2020. Bryce Elder is pitcher of the year, the Phil Negro pitcher of the year, and Shea, who we've talked about quite a bit, who is going to be a hell of a catcher, man. He got the Hank Aaron position player of the year award, Shea Langoliers. He is coming fast. Both of those guys are coming fast. And I think you're going to see Bryce Elder and Strider, the dude that has been promoted 4 times in 1 year, who's finishing his year at AAA. I think you're going to see both of those guys compete for spots in the rotation next year. If not out of spring, I mean, some could happen. One of them could get a spot out of spring even, but I think both of them during the course of the season are going to be up because they moved up that quickly. They've just dominated the lower levels. And Strider gets promoted to AAA after starting the year in low A. Low A. He was at Augusta. He's in AAA now, and he goes out and they use him. He started all year, obviously. They go out and use him in a relief inning, which kind of raises some eyebrows. Like, would the Braves consider adding him to the pen for the playoffs? But he goes out in 1 inning relief work with Gwinnett, strikes out 3, hits 101.
Yeah.
This at the end of his first full season, because they didn't have a season last year.
He's another starters sometimes gain a couple, moving them out into the pen.
Yeah,
starters know how to pitch too.
Pitch more than he's ever pitched in his life. Langoliers, he hits AA all year, and he got promoted for the last 5 games of the AAA season as well. But he had 258 at AA Mississippi, but more importantly, had 22 homers and an 836 OPS. Second season of pro ball, first full season, and that's a league, that Southern League, that is not hitter friendly. You don't hit for power in that league, and especially Mississippi's ballpark. It's been judged like the most pitcher friendly ballpark in the minors, so close to it. So he hit a lot more homers on the road. So he had a really impressive season. They had like 3 2-homer games, and defensively, he could be one of the premier catchers in baseball right now in the majors. He's that good. I mean, Sal talks about he's got a cannon for an arm, and Sal said he's not surprised because with the power hitting, because he said, if you look, most of the guys with the great arms, the catchers, they can also hit for power. He goes, you can't separate the two. If they've got that kind of strength, they can also hit for power. And that's the key. I've never really thought about that, but it's true.
Point. Yeah. I mean, it's just rotational ability, right?
Yeah.
So if they're great rotating and firing the ball, they're going to be throwing the bat really well. And it's also, if you ever look at the burner outfielders, right, with just pea shooter arms.
Yeah.
They're never power guys. You rarely see a power hitter that doesn't bring a good arm to the table too. I mean, it's different with the bat, but a lot of times, those guys that are just pure burners out there, you see them throw oof, and you look at it, they hit 4 or 5 homers a year. It kind of, it translates that rotational ability.
Elder, these guys are 22, I think both of them. Elder, for the full year in high A Rome, he was promoted from Rome to AA Mississippi, and he's been at Gwinnett. And I think the most impressive thing about him is he's gotten better, because you don't see that very often. He's got better as he's gone up. For the year, 11-5, 2.76 ERA in 24 starts, 151 strikeouts, 52 walks in 133 innings. The walks is the only thing he's got to work on, but he's gotten better as he's gone up. And at AAA, he has really impressive numbers. AAA, 2.20 ERA in 6 starts in AAA, 36 strikeouts, 15 walks, only 1 homer allowed in 32 innings. So there's a lot to work with there. Big dude, big Texas guy, big shouldered guy. He's going to come quickly. And then Strider, like I said, he's been a man among boys. This guy's got dynamic stuff from Clemson. If you look at a video of that guy,
I think I have watched. He's athletic.
Yeah, big lower half, strong. Gets a lot of, think of his velocity from that. Not a big guy, not tall at all, but you don't want to compare anybody to Billy Wags, but kind of that, that generates the heat from there.
Yeah.
So I think he's got some nastiness to him too, the attitude wise, and he likes to go after guys.
Yeah,
I think that's a hell of a pick. Promoted 4 times in 1 year.
I want to see what they do under the bright lights. I mean, that's always what I want to see.
Strider, 4 starts in low A, 0.59 ERA, 32 strikeouts, 5 walks, and 15 innings. Okay, man among boys. They bump him up to high A Rome, 2.45 ERA, 24 strikeouts, 6 walks, 14 and 30. Okay, bump him up to double A Mississippi, 14 starts. Okay, had some struggles there. 4.86 ERA, 94 strikeouts though, and 29 walks and 63 innings. And I think most importantly, last 7 starts at Mississippi, 3.09 ERA, 192 opponents average, 52 strikeouts with 12 walks and 35 innings. So, I mean,
that tells you too that, they want him up quick.
Yeah.
When you can easily let the dude sit in double A. When he has 7 good starts and they're like, all right, on to the next level. He's figured out this level. Let's get him up to triple A.
Let water find its level.
They know he's really damn good. And he came up to double A and struggled a little bit. But once he conquered that league, they want him in the big leagues if they're moving him that fast.
Yeah. He's and then like I said, he gets Gannett his 101 and strikes out 3 in 1 inning. So 21 combined starts, 3.77 ERA, 150 strikeouts and 40 walks in 93 innings.
That's solid. That's
yeah. So look for Strider and Elder at spring training next year as the big guy. And there's a couple other ones too that we talked about, but and then Langoliers, it'll be I think his 3rd major league camp. He was right there after, but at least 2nd that he's been there the whole time. So Langoliers is going to compete next year, man.
Yeah.
He could be the guy. And I think it was perfect. They signed Darno for the 2 years because Langoliers is going to be ready to take over when he's gone. And you got Contreras, obviously, but you could use Contreras next year if you want Langoliers to keep playing every day. You can use Contreras as your backup if you don't trade him this winter. So
yeah, there's some injuries. You get his feet wet a few times. If he takes off, you just leave him. You just stay. If he
and you saw how fast that can change this year when Darno gets hurt in May 1st. One of those guys will be ready to take over next year after spending a whole year in the high minors. So, but most importantly, the big league team right now and the Braves have they're going to finish this out against the Mets this weekend. But I think everybody can feel good about what this team's done. I mean, it's what a hell of a year. It seems like 2 years ago that Darno got hurt, misses 3 months. It seems like so long ago. Soroka's coming back and pitching an inning in a spring training game, and we're talking about him, maybe being back by middle of April. Just so much happening this year. Not to mention Acuna gets hurt. He's an MVP front runner. He gets hurt the game before the All-Star break.
That feels like last year too. And
Austin Riley's doing nothing in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And we're going, Sned, how long can you stick with this guy at third base, before he has to do something, and maybe Freddie's struggling. It's just such a long season, but these guys ultimately have all come together, and kudos to team chemistry, man, because this is case number 1 on team chemistry this year. Because if they didn't have a great clubhouse, those newcomers could not have come in and done what they've done and hit the ground running.
And they've all said that too. Every single guy has said, it's such a great vibe over here. Such a great clubhouse. I love these guys. I want to come back. I want to be here. I was thinking about Duvall last night when I was watching him celebrate. His heart probably never left this group. He started the year with a different team and he's watching it. But when he got traded back, he was celebrating. He probably felt like he was on this team the whole season. It was like the Marlins was just a spring training type of thing for him. When he was celebrating out there, I bet you he felt like he never left. I was just thinking, that's got to be a good feeling, because I think, if you're a new guy and you get traded over early August, it takes time to get connected and feel a part of a group. But I bet the day he showed up, it was just like he never left.
And what helped so much And it's kind of a self-perpetuating thing because they were responsible for it largely. But what helped so much was this was a team that was under 500 the whole time, talking about going on a run 4 months. And then those guys come over, and like within days, they started that. They had a soft part of the schedule, but they took advantage of it. They go 16-2 and took control of the race. And those guys played huge parts in that stretch.
Well,
So
shit, you remember us? It felt like 17 podcasts in a row were exactly the same. Us saying, "Oh, they'll get it going." It's a good team. I still believe. Like, it got so redundant saying that shit, but I really believed it. I wasn't.
Kelly Johnson really believed it too. Remember when he was on here?
I know it. It just
Freddie will hit.
It's crazy. It's crazy how long the season is.
Yeah,
that's why you're so happy for those guys when they're celebrating out there, because they've been in that mode since February.
Yeah.
And they finally get to let their guard down for a night and just soak it in.
And I think that's why baseball celebrations are maybe a little bit, they might come across as over the top to people watching on TV because they're going nuts. But man, they have been going at it, like you said, for 7 months and 7.5 months since they got to spring training.
162 games.
And not till now can you really celebrate anything. And then, then you get yourself together and you start plugging away again today. But for one night, there's no reason not to just say, we did it, dudes.
Yeah.
Especially when you endure what this team did. You're not like leading from day one like the Giants, Yeah,
in football and NBA, the whole league makes the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's not that big a deal to get in. More teams get in baseball too, and some teams don't feel great about that wild card because it's such a crapshoot. But
right.
I mean, it feels like a 1,000-game season. There's so many ups and downs throughout a baseball season that, like football, you get to reset Monday through Sunday.
Right. And you play 16 games, Our college play 12 or 13 games. You're playing 162 games in baseball.
5,000. It's 5,000
plus spring training. And then the playoffs start. Yeah.
And there's 7-game series in the playoffs. I mean,
every night there's drama. Every night there's guys that pissed off or hurt or, worried about their careers every night.
Yep. And you need people to look to, that have been through that grind and know how to handle it and know how to stay calm and positive, those rocks. I think about that with Ron Washington, because I've been around coaches that had the credentials, they have the time in the game, but they're hit or miss. Some of them, you can be around a guy that played 15 years, 300 hitter or something. Some days he comes to the park and he just doesn't have it. He's tired that day. He's hungover. He got in a fight with his wife, or he couldn't sleep last night, and it shows on their face. They're not. Wash walks into the park and it's a vibe every time you see him. He's
exactly the same every day.
Exactly the same. And it's so important because he just walks by you laughing, talking shit, working his ass off, and wants to win every single day. And it's not easy to bring that. And that's why it's so important.
And he's in his late 60s. And there's not one day where he goes, you know what? My shoulder or my wrist, a certain day, I can't hit those fungos to you. I can't hit those short hops to you.
Nope.
Every day.
Every day.
He'll be out there today when the guys are hung over, and he'll expect Ozzie and Freddie and Riley and Dansby to come out there and do their drills today.
Yep.
No days off.
If you want a good example of what kind of coach he is, look at Marcus Semien. Okay. He came up to the A's when I was there, and they basically hired Wash specifically to work with him.
Yeah.
Every day, 2:00, we just hear Wash walking through the clubhouse yelling Marcus, looking for him, ready to work. And Marcus, shit, again, it was day in, day out. It was like he just followed him around the clubhouse, and he was well below average as a shortstop his first few years. They were talking about moving him positions. He always had the bat. Yeah. And now he's a good defensive shortstop, and he's, that would be such a distraction to be making those errors. And he hit 40-something homers this year. I mean, I always look at that, and that's just for me. I got to have that, front row seat to watch and Wash work and change a guy's career.
And Eric Chavez gave Wash one of his gold gloves.
Yeah.
For turning him into a gold glover.
Yeah, they can't.
There's quite a few guys like that.
You keep Wash as long as you can.
I bet if Ozzie Albies wins a gold glove, he'll give it to Wash.
Wash probably has a few of those in his trophy room.
I mean, the relationship, they could do a 30 for 30 on the relationship between Ozzie and Wash. It is priceless, man. Those guys. Every day.
Wash 30 for 30 in a heartbeat.
My God, that guy. Yeah, just follow him around for a couple of days.
You ever see those highlights when he was managing the Rangers and
heart on his sleeve?
Yeah. What
the players loved it because they knew he was so invested in it.
You hear that laugh, man. Your day is just gonna be better, and he brings that every single day. It's just not easy to do.
Yeah. All right. We'll do it again on what's today? Friday. We'll do it again Monday or Tuesday. We'll talk about I don't know what we're going to talk about, how they finish. Brewer series, preview it a little bit.
They play Wednesday?
No, they don't play till Friday. We got the wild card games Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
So let's push it back till like at least Tuesday.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
All right. See you next
Thanks,
week.
everybody. 7:55 is real. We are out. Good stuff.
Stuff, guys.